What's up, bulls? Are you wondering what the best stock to buy is? Maybe you're asking yourself, what is the current situation of the global economy? Or just thinking about whether we are in a deep recession or not. Good for you. You are in the right channel, because that is what we discuss in Stockologist. If you're new, hit the like and subscribe button, and let us start the discussions. For this video, we will hear from another esteemed investor, Robert Kiyosaki, his thoughts about the global economy. You might be asking this question to yourself too. How do you survive what is about to occur? As it is one thing to crash but quite another to survive. Robert Kiyosaki found himself asking these same questions too, and this is his answer to himself. Robert said that the problem with most people is that they're caught in a microeconomy. They don't see the broad picture. Based on my conversations with Americans, I'd estimate that most of them believe that America will recover. The good times are here again. While that may be optimistic for them, things could still go sideways. Let us continue with his thoughts. Robert continued his speech with this. As a former US Marine, I know that people locked in the microeconomy have their heads so far up their asses that they can even see what's happening in the real world, while the macroeconomy collapses around them. In one of his videos, Robert was supported by Richard Duncan. Richard has been referring to this scenario for quite some time. Robert asked Richard, "The dollar is in crisis." Richard answered, "Our economic system is in crisis, and I'm apprehensive that we're on the verge of a severe economic crisis that could destroy trillions of additional wealth before this thing is over." Richard also said that, in his opinion, capitalism became fundamentally corrupted when people stopped backing the dollar with gold. This unleashed a credit explosion. The total credit or debt in the United States grew from $1 trillion when I was 3 years old to $91 trillion during my lifetime. This process created a great deal of wealth and economic growth in the United States and around the world. However, our economy has become dependent on credit growth to stay out of the current economic crisis. That is just a minor part. Robert said they couldn't see it, but I'm afraid that inflation is now systemic. This is due to Richard's criticism that they have so much money instead of solving problems. Now it's going to backfire on everyone, including Nordstrom, the torpedoed pipeline, the war in Ukraine, and the English pound. Japan's yen is in terrible difficulties, and I suppose North Korea fired a rocket at the Japanese. There is systemic inflation, and there are BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and the African nation of South Africa. The Bank of England, which had been buying government bonds through its quantitative easing program, was planning to start selling government bonds. So, England suddenly resembled a third world country as the interest rates on its government's bonds doubled in about 2 weeks from 2% to 4%. On a 10-year government bond yield. Usually, this would have caused a significant increase in the cost of borrowing money. A couple of days ago, by Friday afternoon, it was 109, the highest it had ever been. And by Monday morning, it had fallen to 103, an all-time low. These huge swings in the currency and, more importantly, in the interest rates on the government balance were so violent and unprecedented that UK pension funds believed that they had successfully hedged their position with derivatives contracts known as liability-driven investments. But the moves were so significant that the people with whom they had hedged their position could not honor the contracts. What were they doing that's been the issue since 1998, you might ask? The long-term capital management crashed, and the Fed had to bail out the hedge fund. Robert also mentioned James Rickard. He is a friend of ours who wrote the book Currency Wars, and all his question was back then, who bails out the Fed? And I think we're kind of there now. I mean, that's what you've been writing about in the dollar crisis and the corruption of capitalism. Who's going to bail out the Bank of England? And whose central banks have had it very easy for the past 3.5 decades because globalization has been so deflationary, pushing down prices, and the inflation rate has been so low. As a result, they have been able to print much more money without causing high inflation rates. By printing much money, they were able to finance government spending and stimulate the economy by spending much money. This was a Goldilocks period for 3.5 decades. But now, globalization is at least partially reversing. First, there were global supply chain bottlenecks, followed by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which pushed up commodity prices. Energy, oil, gas, wheat, and corn prices are other primary sources of inflation, and the central banks are in shock because they have to deal with inflation for the first time in years. Inflation in the United Kingdom is at 10%. In Germany, it's at 10% too. And in the United States, it's at percent practically 10. If the central banks try to support the economy by printing more money, they will only fan the flames of inflation. But if they don't print more money, credit will contract, and the economy will spiral into crisis. You said that there was inflation because China was producing so much that they could send goods to America, including our pharmaceuticals, at such low prices that Americans didn't feel the inflation. Once again, this is due to the high productivity of the Chinese people. This is significant because, according to the book United Rich Dad Poor Dad, your house is not an asset, like it was a decade ago. And for many middle-class boomers, their house is their biggest asset. Equity bonds and the market as a whole are currently declining. Those are Robert's thoughts. And let me repeat his last opinions. Equity bonds in the market as a whole are currently declining. And knowing this, we should be worried and be prepared at the same time for the worst that can happen. And I guess that is the end of this video. Comment below what you think of our topic. Let's start a discussion in the comment section. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. This will help us at Psychologist grow our channel even more. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.